Hey there, fam. How's it going? We're back here at the Impact Zone podcast. And, I've just basically finished an episode. And, several thoughts came to my mind. And I did want to make this specifically its own separate video. So here it is. And we are basically talking about the way I'm going to do upcoming previews for like the cards, like for Bound for Glory, for Lockdown, and for all the other shows, because before I've done, just previews and that sort of thing, but I do find that the previews are a lot, like the way that I've been doing them are a lot less conducive to the way that I think a lot of YouTube channels or a lot of podcast channels kind of do these sorts of things. So instead of saying these are the previews of the matches, but they are obviously in a way, but I will be just talking about the fact that TNA has announced whatever matches they have announced. Maybe I'll have a bit more of a discussion than just saying, hey, they've announced this match or they've announced that match or whatever. We'll talk about the story a little bit. We'll talk about like some of what I think, but like I will try to save more of what I think will happen and the story going in and the story going out and whatever the outcomes will be to this is what I want to do now, is have one video basically that goes down through the entire thing, which I guess I'll now call predictions more so, of saying, right, this is what I think is going to happen, this is what I think is going to happen, this is where I think this is going, this is where I think that's going, yada yada yada, etc. Rather than saying previews, because I think like preview, like if you're saying, hey, these matches have been announced, 1,000 channels and whatever else do that as well, but still, like, that is like, what you should do. I feel like you should be saying, these are the matches that have been announced. Let's analyze it a little bit and talk about it a little bit, but let's just say these are the matches that have been announced, so it's more about quote-unquote news or whatever else it is. So that then when you get to like a couple of days before, it's like, okay, there's one video that is a preview of the full show. You can see everything together and see my entire thoughts. Because every single time that I talk about the shows, when they're coming up, I reference matches that we're not talking about anymore because they were on the last preview, and it has to be preview part 1, preview part 2, preview part 3, etc, etc, etc. So it's really hard, I think, for people to watch 2 or 3 or 4 whatever videos to get the full picture, rather than just having a full picture preview. If you want to see this match was announced and that match was announced, okay, cool. But you're going to preview everything together all at one time so that there's more of a digestible, fairly short form video that you can watch that goes through everything more so, rather than, not having that and only having maybe 1 or 2 matches and you basically have talked about the rest of the card. It will mean maybe I have to do one more video, combining everything a little bit more, but maybe I could just cut out the stuff that I'm already going to say, or save it more so or just record it or whatever. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do and which way I'm going to do it. But yes, I am now going to be just talking about the matches and the stories that have been or whatever that are being announced for the pay-per-views separately, and then having the previews or predictions in a separate video that sort of goes more over this is the full card, or as much of the full card as what I can get within a couple of days beforehand or a day beforehand or whatever else it is. And then the review afterwards going, oh yes, cool, they did this, they did that, this was a good match, that was all right, whatever, okay. Because they do change things here and there as well. And it's good to change things here and there as well, but it's also good to be Like, because again, like you don't want to just be like, oh, I know everything, and it's so predictable. I like it sometimes when it's like, oh, well, we decided to do something else and whatever else. Cool. But sometimes that's not what you should do. Sometimes the predictable is good, and just being like, oh, we're gonna do this for no reason, but we're gonna do it, okay? But what's that leading to, or why are you doing that way? Whatever. We just wanted to troll the fans or whatever. That's not how you get a recipe for success, my man. That is not how you get a recipe for success. If you want to have success, then you want to have people feeling like, oh, damn, yeah. Even though that was somewhat predictable and you could see it a mile coming, it all came together really well. And it still, like, makes me interested to see, right, well, what's next? Or whatever, or damn, they flipped the script on that, but it's not bad. It's like, oh, now I'm even more interested, or now there's this extra layer to it, or whatever, or whatnot. So yeah, where are we at with that, and that sort of thing. So yeah, I just wanted to come on here, I guess fairly quickly. This one's going to be, I think, at least fairly quick, and just to discuss like the fact that I'm going to change things around a little bit, and I guess like it'll make things a little bit more, I guess, samey to other like podcasts or news channels or whatever else it is. So like that is tough, like to compete with that sort of stuff, because I'm not like super duper on the ball with like all of that stuff, and it does take time to like produce these things and things like that. Could do them live, I guess. Like I did say, like a lot of the like reviews will be done live, because like that's just makes it easier, at least I think, to do them. But it certainly could do these live as well, but I just don't know whether I will or whether I won't do that, or how I would do that, or how I wouldn't do that in a way that makes sense. Like I'm already like recording a lot of these things, so I just have to sit down at the computer and just like record, well, not record, but like broadcast these things, I guess, live, I guess. But since there's no, like, I don't really have a schedule per se, that much of saying, well, we're going to produce these videos or whatever. For the most part, it's like very ad hoc for the most part, where it's like, yes, you definitely will get at least one new episode every single week, which is like me usually going through, okay, what happened, or where are we going, or what are we doing, and yeah, we are going towards lockdown, so what are they kind of formulating, or what do I think they're trying to do, or whatever else it is, and that sort of stuff. So yeah, like, I don't know, like, I think lockdown's going to be very interesting in many ways, and also not very interesting in many ways. Like they recently had that Fabian Eichner and Cedric Alexander match on TV, which was great. That was amazing. Good stuff. I think they still could have had an extra 5-10 minutes or even more maybe to really go at it, but still, it was still really good. But now that's kind of, well, I don't want to just say kind of, it's really killed off Fabian, but like, again, it's like really tough, because like no one in that division has a story or a real reason except for Leon to beat Cedric. And it's like, at this point with Cedric and Leon, you've pretty much done it to death for the most part. So it is very much like, well, maybe it's time for Leon to move on. And like, again, I do feel like there is some of that, well, he's leaving anxiety or whatever else it is sort of stuff. But the more you're like anxiety or like crippled by not wanting to do anything with him just because he might be leaving, is more reason for him to be like, well, you guys aren't going to do anything with me, so I'm going to leave. Like, it's kind of a, you're giving the cat the keys to the pantry sort of thing by going, well, we aren't going to do anything with you. We're just going to keep going, no, 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 because we think you're leaving. And that's going to be like, well, since you're saying no, 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 we're not really going to do anything with you. Well, that's made my choice by saying, hey, okay, you're not going to do anything with me, so I'm going to go elsewhere and see how my opportunities, pan elsewhere. And, like, I don't know about, like, people going elsewhere, honestly, but, like, I do think, like, the amount of opportunities and the amount of promises that, well, I don't want to just say any wrestling company, but yeah, any wrestling company pretty much says to people are pretty much just a load of bullshit for the most part. Like, because obviously there is opportunity there in many ways, but of course you've got to temper your expectations and be like, dude, I understand. And be like, again, this is a team sport in many ways. People forget that this is a team effort. Everyone in TNA has got to be band together and working together for the benefit of TNA. This is not about one person and one player and one whatever. It's about the entire roster. Because again, like, that's what I mean by saying, hey, it's not just about the champion in A or the division or whatever. It's about, like, the entire roster, because you've got to have stories for everybody else basically within that division that is on the opposite side of the babyface heel spectrum to kind of challenge for that against that person. Because otherwise it's like, oh, okay, what are we doing with this person as the champion? Who are they challenging? It's the same philosophy in a way of, like, when you have a babyface challenger, you need the babyface to be challenged by all these dragons that are coming to ruin the Citadel or whatever else it is, that sort of thing. He needs to be the holy avenger, like defending the faith or whatever, that sort of thing, And when you've got the heel champion, they need to be the dastardly person that gets by by the skin of their teeth, somehow, some way, and the valiant hero is still chasing them, and that sort of thing, and still chasing them down, that sort of thing. So yeah, you have to have that on both sides. You can't just have, like. And it is difficult storytelling, but it is, like, one of those things, like, we need to see this. This is what we need to see. And you need to be like, okay, cool, right, let's go forth, young grasshopper, and prosper. Not just, we'll sit on our hands and we'll book for a month and then we'll come back in a month and cool. We'll book for another month and then we'll see you later, bye. Come back next month and book for another month. It's like, that's got to stop. Even if you've planted some sort of seed and you've gone, yeah, when are we going to get to that? Oh, who knows? Whatever. Maybe never. Who knows? Whatever. See you next month. Bye. Like, we need more than that, bro. And, like, having some big, like I said in the last video of, like, the ratings, really went up the last couple of weeks and whatnot, and they broke their all-time record, or one of their all-time records off of Spike for the last, like, decade or so. So yeah, that's really cool. So yeah, like, we've got to be thinking about, like, again, like, every piece, and I've got to be thinking about every piece of my content and of my, like, ways of doing things and all of that sort of stuff. But it's really tough because, like, again, I don't think many of you guys know this, but I actually run, like, 2 or 3 other podcasts and all of this other stuff, and I'm trying to do, like, a million other things, literally, basically a million other things. So yeah, that's one of those things. And, like, this YouTube and the other YouTubes that I have effectively work as portfolios for me to be like, hey, if you want to see some of the work that I have done, hey, you can go and check these YouTube channels out. Like, these ones are like some of the least worked on ones, but still, like, I do put a lot of effort into producing episodes every single week, recording those episodes, you know, broadcasting those episodes, etc., 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 and working on several other projects as I go along. So again, like, me, like, having more time to, like, and more, like, cohesiveness of, like, okay, people can find, like, all of this stuff that they need to find or want to find in one video, more so, rather than somebody having to watch part one, then part two, then whatever. If somebody wants to watch, hey, they announced these matches, blah, 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 cool, great, cool. But if they want to see a proper preview of a show, yeah, that needs to be all together, all at once, all at the same time, and fairly concisely. So that's where I'm at thinking with that. I'm going to change that so that people can just watch one video before the show goes live or before the show happens, and then one video that's after the show has happened to recap or to review it and say, okay, well, now that this person is here, or now that they've done this, or now that they've done that, okay, cool, well, what are we going to do now? You know what I mean? And it, like, again, like, even though I've said some stuff with, like, some of these guys, like Uha Nation and some of these other people, or whoever's been on the indies or whatever else it is, and saying, hey, maybe we should bring in some of those ex-WWE talent, I would, like, again, really only think about the NXT, young NXT talent for the most part, because most people are going to forget that those talent were ever even in WWE, plus a lot of them were only in WWE for a hot cup of coffee, basically. So most people are going to forget that they were there for the most part. So again, like, let's bring some of those guys or gals as well in, because again, like, I would say only the ones that you really want to bring in, because again, like, Tony is going to try to bring in some of them, but, like, you shouldn't just go for anyone and everybody. If you're going to say, okay, well, where do we need more people? Basically, we need people everywhere, but, you know, that is another consideration. Everything is where, like, you need to be thinking about it, like, and that's where I'm at with this as well. So, yeah, like, yeah, I think we've talked enough about this and whatnot, so, and, I'm starting to ramble about some other topics or whatever else it is as well. So, either way, I think that's pretty much it for this one. So, yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed this one. You know, actually went longer than what I expected, but still fairly quick, I guess. But anyway, hope you have enjoyed, and I hope that you'll join me again in another one.